Hello there. What is going on, everyone? Brand new Star Wars Shatterpoint terrain packs just announced yesterday, plus some Star Wars Legion news for updates coming this week. We're going to talk about all this and more in today's video. So, a little admin stuff first. Of course, I've got to plug the giveaways. We're doing 12 Days of Life Day all month long. All you have to do to enter to win that, or the big lightsaber giveaway, is be a subscriber and leave a comment on this or one of my videos. It's as simple as that. Also, make sure to check out Luxury Playstyle for sponsoring this video. Amazing full metal tokens compatible with Star Wars Legion, also compatible with X-Wing. They have X-Wing tokens, Legion tokens. They have tokens for other games as well. Games like Keyforge, Magic the Gathering, Arkham, L5R, you name it. Go check them out. Use code Crabbok VIP. That's going to save 15%. Amazing stocking stuffers, holiday gifts. Get your orders in soon, and let your loved ones know that they can have these amazing tokens because you love them. All right, so two new terrain packs for Star Wars Shatterpoint were actually just announced yesterday from AMG. We have the High Ground terrain pack as well as the Take Cover terrain pack. This all is going to be in addition to the terrain that does come in the core box. They did say that there was going to be some terrain that comes in the core box as well. And this is a pretty interesting thing. And the reason I think that there's crossover and that it's kind of also going to be compatible with Legion as well, because they have said that their terrain is going to be compatible with Legion, that Legion terrain will work with this and vice versa, implying that the scale of these miniatures are going to be pretty close. For example, if you play Marvel Crisis Protocol, you'll know that a lot of the same terrain for that works also with Legion, although it might be a little bit out of universe, right? Like the the buildings and the vehicle and the cars and the construction equipment and things like that don't really work in the Star Wars setting as often, even though there are still planets that can have that sort of stuff. If you watched Andor, you'll know a lot of that, like that kind of typical terrain that just doesn't necessarily feel super sci-fi. There are planets in the Star Wars galaxy that aren't as completely techno, Tron-ish. There's definitely a lot of like brick and mortar, settlements and stuff in Star Wars. So you can still kind of get away with all of it. But this time, you're definitely doing, more Star Warsy looking terrain. There's a couple of interesting things about this particular terrain that might give us a little bit of a glimpse into some of the directions that they're going for Shatterpoint. One of those is that you have three distinct different levels where miniatures look like they can stand on this particular terrain. You've got, of course, your ground floor. You've got your first or maybe second floor, depending if you're European or which hemisphere you live in, right? Like here in America, we call this the second floor, and we call this the first floor. But other places in the world, it's the ground floor, and then one story up is the first floor. And then we have this third level, which is even higher, but doesn't really have as much. So, like you can potentially really get the high ground up there. And you do kind of have this super extra high peak up on there, but like those are antennas, so it doesn't look like you can actually be able to stand anybody on top of those. But the different levels, I think, are going to be important in this game, because I think elevation is, they've said elevation is going to be important, and it looks like their terrain is, at least this first kind of terrain pack that they've shown us, the high ground terrain pack is going to be important for that. I wouldn't be surprised if certain characters get advantage when attacking from on high, or are able to kind of jump down to empower an attack. I think that is probably something that's going to be happening. I also really, really hope that you can do something in this game that you can't do in Legion. And what that is to force push. Did I say force? Force Bjorgen. Force push somebody off of a lift or off of a ledge. They did make jokes when they first announced this game about how there'd be no railing on any of the like I guess a lot of Star Wars edges don't have a railing, and so like we're not going to see any here at least for a while. And I think that there's a reason for that. I think it's going to allow easier gameplay to like push somebody off, so they're not like being pushed against a railing or something to that effect. And I really hope you can do that, because it's something I've always wanted to do in Legion, and like, and then I think when I was first play testing Legion, I think the first time we actually did that by mistake, and it had to get clarified. And like, no, that's, a speed X move is not a clamber or climb. You can't force somebody to clamber. I'm like, but you should be able to push them off of a cliff. And I think maybe you'll be able to do that with this game. We're going to have to see. Also, with our Take Cover terrain pack, you still do have a little bit of like flat area up on top of this big building area here. So you still may be able to get a little bit of that high ground. I think even in this one, that's mostly focusing on, like, it looks like you have terrain and cover, the two, or elevation and cover are the two things that these packs are trying to give. This one being more along the lines of cover, but you still have ladders in all of these cases. And I think ladders are also an important thing. And granted, I know I'm like digging into terrain, but I think this terrain is going to be important. If you look at what AMG's done with Marvel Crisis Protocol, if you look at the number of the numbers on the bottom of the terrain, they want their terrain to be functional. Terrain is made to be thrown. It has size numbers. It has a specific damage amount that all of their official terrain does. And if you're not using their official terrain, you have to decide, like what a terrain piece's value is going to be beforehand, for how much damage it will throw, what size category it is, all of these things. And so official terrain from AMG for this game is probably also going to be functional. It might not have numbers on the bottom. Then again, maybe it will. I think you should be able to force push, a boulder or a gonk droid sighting, right? I think it's really cool that they're actually using a droid as terrain. Like, I think that's kind of cool, because maybe it means it can move or at least be thrown. I mean, I really hope we can at least throw terrain. Maybe that's a force rating thing. Maybe like stormtroopers can throw a gonk droid, but it takes a Jedi to force push the swoop bike or something like that. I think that could be fun. I think it's something that was missing in Star Wars Legion, and they started to add it just a little bit with with barricades and the being able to move barricades around. But by the time they had the force lift with barricade moving, by that point nobody was really using barricades anymore, because there's an abundance of terrain out there in the Legion community right now. So people don't really need to use the included barricades very much anymore. So I'm hoping that this is a sign that terrain rules are going to be maybe a little bit more dynamic and a little bit more fun, possibly. I mean, I don't know. Fun is going to be relative, because some people really like one system versus another system, and like there's things about MCP's terrain that I don't like, and it's like you don't really like line of sight doesn't work the same as it does in Legion. And I would love to use like Legion's line of sight with MCP's terrain throwing. Maybe we'll get a hybrid of that. But I like the idea that there are ladders in here, because the ladders imply that you don't have to have a jetpack in order to get the high ground. You don't have to have, and climbing is probably going to work differently if you're adjacent to a ladder than if you're not. Like in Legion, like ladders were, I mean, there ended up being kind of like suggestions for how to play ladders. Like just a standard move. You don't have to clamber. Basically, if you're adjacent to a ladder, we have always played it that you gain expert climber. If you're climbing up a ladder, so you don't have to worry about like, hey, you shouldn't like slip and fall if there's a ladder built into this terrain, and some terrain pieces do have it. But I hope that the inclusion of a ladder or multiple ladders here, and then also lots of ladders on this piece, means that ladders are actually like designed and planned from the beginning of the game. I think that that's pretty cool. So I mentioned, I've been talking about Legion as well as Shatterpoint in this one, because I think that there's a Venn diagram of miniature wargaming, and the Venn diagram, it covers both of these. They have a lot of overlap. So, Legion's getting a big update. It's getting a big update. It's coming the 8th. So that's like this Thursday. AMG posted on social media today that not only are they, they've been saying that they were going to do that they were going to do a points update in December. But today, yesterday, they posted that it's going to be the 8th. So we'll definitely be looking at that. So stay tuned. December 8th is going to be the big, points adjustment and rules adjustment. There may be RRG updates. There may be there's supposed to be a new tournament document. So whatever comes out, of course, we'll be covering it. I think it's going to be exciting, and hopefully you guys, all you Legion fans out there, will be following along too. And again, if you're a Legion player not interested in Shatterpoint, you might still be able to use this terrain. high ground isn't as important in Legion. I mean, you're still going to get cover if somebody's shooting up through you because that line does go through the base. So you still get cover when shooting from above, but it's not like it's functionally like as significant as I expect it's going to be in Shatterpoint. But I want to hear some of your thoughts. Do you think I can kind of see somebody like jumping down and getting like maybe like a bonus die or something like that if or maybe the higher you jump down. But maybe if you jump down too far, maybe you take damage. I don't know. Like, how do you think it's going to work? And of course, speculation is just for the sake of fun because we're really going to just have to wait and see. But I enjoy speculation, and if you enjoy speculation too, then speculate down below because it's super fun to do that. Also, keep the discussion going in our Discord. There's links for all my social media, Discord, and Patreon, and all this cool stuff in the video description below. So I'd love to have you guys check it out. Of course, we will continue to be covering games like Legion, Armada, X-Wing, and of course, Star Wars Shatterpoint here on the channel, as well as other cool new groovy tabletop gaming experiences, and also some unrelated to gaming. Sometimes we'll just do generic kind of Star Wars and collectibles as well. So we kind of spread out a little bit. That's fun to do. The occasional helmet or lightsaber or things like that. That's one of the reasons I'm giving away a lightsaber. Again, don't forget, subscribe, leave a comment that enters you to win. Like the video, share the video, all that cool stuff. Huge thanks to my patrons. You guys are absolutely amazing and help make this channel possible. So thank you for your continued support. I will talk to you guys later. May the force be with you. Live long and prosper. Be excellent to each other. So say we all. Merry Christmas. And don't forget to call your mom and tell her you love her.